सलामकुम सर।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम उमर।
सर एक काम कर लेना कि जब सारे आ जाए ना तो ये सब माइक म्यूट कर दें आप वहां से। जिसने क्वेश्चन करना हो हाथ खड़ा करे, क्योंकि फिर इस तरह वॉइस डिस्टर्ब होती है। आपकी बीच में वॉइस जो है ना वो डिस्टर्ब हो जाती है।
ठीक है
नहीं
उमर।
सर, ना करे, हर बंदा खुद करे सर। जब कर लेने फिर कभी कभार नहीं
ये
होता सर।
सबको
आपकी
कह
तरफ
दें
से
कि या सबको कह दें कि म्यूट रखें खुद को, जब
जी
बात
जी
करनी हो तो फिर अनम्यूट करें।
ठीक है,
सर,
दैट
आपकी
इज
तरफ से
फाइन।
जब म्यूट हो जाता है तो फिर अक्सर वो अनम्यूट नहीं होता, वो प्रॉब्लम होती है।
अच्छा, so everyone kindly turn off your microphones. If you have a question you may unmute it. जी Danish, you had a question.
हाँ सर, वो जो पिछले वो डिफिनीशन आपने वो ओपेक और उसकी क्लियरेंस की बताई थी, उसकी मुझे समझ नहीं आई।
Okay, this one.
जी जी सर, ये बस ये आप एक्सप्लेन थोड़ा करने, ओपेक और ट्रांसपेरेंट।
Danish, just focus on these 2 points. The rest is, very much similar to the previous definitions. Okay,
यस
we
सर।
explore the power relations. These power relations, they can either be like they are manifested in language, but they can be sometimes opaque or sometimes they can be transparent. Fine. uh, Look at the colonizers. Simply when they came here, they, what did they say? What was the pretext which they used? They said that they were here to educate us and they were here to make us civilized people. So the power, their hidden agenda, it was not transparent. Fine, it was rather opaque. It was not, crystal clear. So when we analyze their discourses with the help of critical discourse analysis, what will we do? We will bring to forth, we will highlight, we will describe, and we will interpret, we will explain those hidden agendas, those power relations which were opaque in their discourses. Fine. So these kind of power relations, relationships of dominance, discrimination, and power and control, social inequalities, they are sometimes opaque and sometimes they are transparent. So if they are transparent, they can be detected easily, but they are most of the time in such kind of power relations, these in most of the discourses, power relations are opaque. Fine. So we have to make them transparent. That is the basic purpose of critical discourse analysis.
ओके सर, गॉट इट सर।
Okay, like the textbook board examples of adjectives in all these things. Now the power relations, social inequalities which are practiced and produced, reproduced with the help of those textbooks, these things are opaque, they are not visible to us, and this is the job of critical discourse analyst to make those things transparent. Clear?
ओके सर, क्लियर।
Okay. uh, let's These things are already clear to you, but just let's discuss them very briefly. Principles of CDA proposed by Norman Fairclough and Wodak. These two people, keep in mind, are they have done a lot of contributions to the field of discourse analysis. Norman Fairclough, Ruth Wodak, Van Dyke, Michael Halliday. These people are the prominent figures in the field of critical discourse analysis. Now, these two gentlemen, these two researchers, Fairclough and Wodak, in one of their research papers, they have proposed these 8 principles of critical discourse analysis. I'll share their research paper with you. Fine. So, according to them, the first principle of CDA is that CDA addresses social problems. Social problems means social inequalities. I think this thing is clear. The social problems can be problems related to gender, problems related to colonization, problems related to Islamophobia, fine, problems related to black and white. So all these are the various kind of social problems. Then we have principle number 2. Power relations are discursive. It means that power relations are practiced with the help of discourses. Okay, how did the colonizers they practice their power relations? Obviously with the help of discourses. Fine. How we look at Donald Trump, how is he exercising his power with the help of discourse? Look at Imran Khan, how is he resisting the power of Narendra Modi or the power of Donald Trump and other people? Of course, with the help of discourses. Fine. Look at Pashtun society again. Gender discrimination, gender-based discrimination, inequality problems, they are practiced with the help of discourses only. So power relations are always discursive. Then we have the third principle. Discourse includes or constructs or constitutes society and culture. Fine. If we look at the discourse which is produced in Pashtun society, so that discourse includes our culture. It means that that discourse is shaped by our culture. Fine. The culture norms and values, each and everything lies in the discourse we produce. Fine. In the same way, our discourse constitutes our society. It constructs our society. Fine. This point will be further clarified in point number 6. Moving to number 4, discourse also does ideological work. In other words, ideologies are often produced through discourses. This is crystal clear. Ideologies are always created, ideologies are always inculcated in the minds of the other people with the help of discourses only. Fine, just as the colonizers came here and the way they inculcated their ideologies in our minds, they did it with the help of discourse. Fine. The gender ideologies, how are they inculcated in the mind of the Pashtun people? Obviously with the help of discourses. Look at the book of Pakistan studies, social studies. We have been reading these books since the very first day of our school. Now our political ideologies, our international relations in these ideologies, our concepts related to, regarding the non-Muslim countries, India particularly, these ideologies are inculcated in the mind of the students with the help of discourses. So discourse also does ideological work. Discourses history. If we analyze the discourse without an history, I think that will be in misinterpretation, or you can say that will not be a correct analysis, because discourse is history itself. Okay, discourse, the discourse of a culture, the discourse of a society, the discourse of a country or a nation actually embeds in itself the complete history of that nation, the complete history of that culture. Fine. Like if look at the discourse of Pashtun people, for example, if we are watching a Pashto drama, okay, or a Pashto movie, or if we are reading a Pashto newspaper, so the entire history of Pashtun society and Pashtun culture is behind that discourse. So we can say that discourse is history itself. Point number 6, principle number 6, the link between text and discourse is mediated. That is a very important point. Discourse, text means discourse. Fine. The link between discourse in society, that is mediated. It means that that is not one way. It does not go in one way only, rather it goes both way. Okay. How? Like discourse shapes our society. How does discourse shapes our society? Look at the discourse again, the discourse in Pashtun society. So our society, our mindset, all our ideologies, they are shaped by the discourse produced in Pashtun society. Fine. And in the same way, our discourse is shaped by our society. Fine. Our norms and values, our customs and traditions, our rituals, our practices, each and everything, all these things come together, and combinedly all these things shape our discourse. Fine. So this, the link between discourse and society, that is a mediated, that is both way. Fine. That is not a one way relationship only. Like it is not the case that discourse shapes our society, or the case only that society shapes our discourse. Rather it is a two-way link is there. Fine. Then principle number 7, CDA is interpretive and explanatory. Okay, CDA is interpretive and explanatory. It means that CDA does not only describe the texts, rather it interprets the text and it explains the text. Fine, let me get you back to one of the definitions. I think it was the very first one. Yes, look at this. Critical discourse analysis is a qualitative analytical approach for critically describing. Okay, so Critical discourse analysis, first of all, describes the micro textual features. Fine. When critical discourse analysis interprets and explains those micro features in relation to the socio-economic, socio-political, and socio-cultural context in which that discourse has been produced. Fine. So it means that discourse analysis just does not look at the textual features only. Critical discourse analysis does not look at the textual features only. Rather, it goes beyond the textual analysis and it interprets and it explains the power relations, okay, each and everything which is inside the text, or keeping in view the socio-political, socio-economic, and socio-culture context in which that text is being produced. Fine. So the CDA does not deal with the description of the text only, just as we do in theme in rhyme or cohesion and coherence. Rather, it goes beyond the textual analysis and it seeks for the interpretation and the explanation of the text. The last one, discourse analysis is a form of social action. It means that discourse, when people produce discourse, they do not just produce discourse, fine, they do not just say something, rather they perform an action. Discourse, like they do discourse, fine. The people actually do discourse, they do not produce discourse. Rather, producing this discourse itself is a social action. Okay, just as we fight physically, in the same way people may fight. Okay, they may dominate one another with the help of discourse, they may resist the power of one another with the help of discourse. So it means that discourse is not something abstract, rather this is something very concrete. So people do not just produce discourse, rather they do discourse. While producing discourse, they are doing discourse and they are performing a sort of action. So these are the 8 principles proposed by Fairclough and Wodak. If you have any questions so far, kindly ask the questions, and then we are going to move to the last point. Sir, can you share the link with us? Okay, fine. I'll share the link with you. Don't worry. Okay. Moving to the, no questions so far. Jay, Danish, Nawaz, anyone? No questions?
Everything is clear, sir.
Okay, fine. Let's move to these aims of CDA and discuss these things very briefly. Fine. The aims of CDA. Now, one thing must be kept in mind. These, if you can see these principles, these are the 8 principles proposed by these 2 gentlemen. Fine. But these aims, uh, they are not, this is not a definite set of the aims of CDA. I have taken some of the aims from one source, some other aims from another source, but combined we may say that these are the most commonly mentioned aims of critical discourse analysis. Now, CDA aims to investigate how meaning is created in context. Fine, this is very simple. If you remember the model of Delheim's, the speaking model, do you remember that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The
I
speaking
remember.
model of context proposed by Delheims somewhere in 1967, if I'm not wrong. Speaking it stands for sitting. Sitting means time and place. Here we have participants. Then we have end and means the goal and the aim of conversation. We have the act sequence. Fine. SPEA. We have the key. Fine. We have instrumentalities, we have norms, and we have genre. So in critical discourse analysis, we being discourse analysts, we investigate that how is meaning created in context. Fine. Then the aim of CDA is to expose how language is used and the socio-political abuse of power. This is what we discussed a short while ago, that how is language used, fine, to explore that to explore the socio-political abuse of power, that how is power abused in socio-political context, fine. So we actually expose that thing, we make transparent that abuse of power, that dominance in that subordination in each and everything. Then to uncover, to make transparent opaqueness in power relationships, fine. Power relationships means like who is dominant and who is subordinate, and how is this dominance and subordination, how are these things produced and reproduced, how are these things enacted, how are these things resisted with the help of discourse. Most of the time these hidden ideologies, they are hidden, fine, they are opaque. And our job, being critical discourse analysts, is to uncover these hidden realities. Fine, to uncover the hidden realities in the speeches of the Britishers, in the speeches of Donald Trump, in the speeches of Imran Khan, in the proverbs, in the idioms of, in some tapas, in the discourses of the Pushtun people, simply, fine, in the newspaper articles and the advertisements, television advertisements, so on and so forth. So we have to make transparent, we have to uncover these power relations. Okay, the aim of CDA is to understand, to expose and to challenge the use of power by social institutions on political, cultural, ethical, and gender basis. Now, as I told you a short while ago, that dominance, subordination, inequalities, they can be on the basis of gender, they can be on the basis, they can be on ethical basis, they can be on cultural basis, they can be on political basis, fine, they can be on the basis of color, okay, they can be on the basis of a geographical belonging, okay, they can be on ethnic basis, like the various ethnic groups such as black and white, fine. So what does CDA aim is, it aims to understand and to expose and to challenge as well, fine, the use of power by social institutions. Clear? Yeah, Danish.
So this point is very much related to the second one, to expose how sorry, the third one, to uncover
Exactly.
opaqueness and power relations.
Exactly. As I told you, Danish, that this is not a definite set of the aims. Fine, I have collected these aims from multiple sources, so similarities must be there. Clear? Like this is from one source, number two, and this one is from another source, so there might be some similarities between the two. Clear? Redundancy should be avoided. This is what I actually want to say. Then to uncover the discursive means of mental control. How are the minds of individuals controlled with the help of discourses? Okay, we uncover those means of mind control with the help of critical discourse analysis. Now this point is a little bit new. Discursive means the means of discourse, the sources of discourse, the sources of language, the features of language, that what kind of features are used in the language of a particular group to control the minds of another group. Fine, this is what we discuss, and this is what we uncover in critical discourse analysis. Fine, the last one, to give voice to the marginalized people. Fine. Now one of the students asked me before the Eid, when I was discussing this topic with the students of the morning session. So one of them asked me this, sir, CDA is in discussing these things, we are, revolving around marginalization, social inequalities, power, abuse, dominations, fine. So keep in mind, CDA is all about social inequalities, social injustice, fine, marginalization. This is the sole aim of critical discourse analysis. Okay, so what do we do in critical discourse analysis? Its aim is to give voice to the marginalized people, like those people whom voice have been muted. Fine, if you have gone through the theory, muted group theory, fine, I suggest you to go to this theory. It is a very interesting theory. Fine, here you will learn that how are the voices in the mouths of the marginalized group shut. Fine, like the Pashtun society, when someone Pashtun society, or any kind of marginalized group, such as the black people or the colonized people. When they start resisting the power, okay, the dominance of the powerful group, their mouths are shut, their voices are muted. So what is the aim of critical discourse analysis? Its aim is to give voice, to raise the voice of those people who have been marginalized by the dominant people. Fine. So this is what CDA aims. These are like all. This is all about the aims of critical discourse analysis. Clear so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's analyze some interesting examples very briefly. This is an advertisement I took from a magazine. Okay, it's all about Kashmir Premium Gold cooking oil. Okay, now what did we discuss here in definitions? We talked about description, interpretation, and explanation. Point number one, you should keep in mind. Then we discussed that how are the social inequalities constructed and maintained and legitimatized with the help of discourses. Okay. The third thing which we discussed was this: macro analysis of text. Now, macro analysis contains linguistic analysis, linguistic features, semiotic features, and literary features. Clear? So look at this advertisement. We have linguistic features and semiotic features here. Linguistic features, look at this chunk line, हर पल में बसा प्यार. Fine. Linguistic features, if we look at the graphological features, so the shape of these words. Fine. Look at 100% pure oil, 100% pure cooking oil. Fine. Now
सर
100%
झूठ
pure.
बोल रहे हैं,
Ji? Yeah, obviously we know, and
ये
this
झूठ
is
बोल रहे हैं.
this is what we do in critical discourse analysis to, to bring to forth their lies. Clear? Now, कश्मीर की साल हर साल की महारत के लिए कश्मीर प्रीमियम गोल्ड 100% pure cooking oil, like multiple linguistic features are there ताकि life रहे सेहतमंद and active. Now look at the code switching, active, life. Fine. Look at the adjective sehatmand. Now, when we listen to these things or when we read these things time again and again, fine, these things inculcate certain message, certain idea in our mind, fine, and this is how we start liking for this particular cooking oil with the help of these linguistic features. Fine. Now, moving to the semiotic features, and I'm relating these things to gender ideology in Pakistan. Semiotics, look at the colors. As I told you, in semiotics, we take into consideration colors, directions, sizes, shapes. Fine. If we look at the colors, here the yellow color is the darkest one. Fine. And if we look at the dress of this lady, so it is a bit lighter as compared to this one. Fine. Now, if you have ever gone through the theories of language and technology, okay, forget about language and technology, the PK movie. I think all of you have watched that movie, the PK, the Indian movie where Amir
Yes,
Khan
sir.
is the hero. Fine. He has got a yellow cap on his head. Fine. And when he is asked about the reason, the logic behind that yellow color, he says that the yellow color can be detected easily. Fine. From a very far distant place. Now, according to psychology, yellow color actually attracts our eyes immediately. Now, this is, if you look at this color, the darkest yellow color, then this one is a bit lighter. Clear? And the rest of the colors, they are very light. Clear? So it means that the moment we look at this advertisement, our eyes are attracted by this yellow color and then by the dress of the lady. Fine. Again, I'm talking about this cooking oil first of all, not gender ideology. That how are our minds attracted? Okay, how is it inculcated in our mind that this cooking oil is a good cooking oil? Now, moving to gender ideology, look at the color, yellow color. Fine, because to attract the eyes of the audience, the eyes of the viewers and readers. Now here we have the white color. Now yellow color, she is that color of that color dress because she might go to the kitchen and she has to cook. Fine, and the dress may get dirty. This is pure white, bright white color, and this indicates that he has nothing to do with the chores, with the activities which are done in the kitchen. Fine, because usually a cook does not go into the kitchen for cooking wearing pure white dress because it gets dirty very soon. So one thing which this color indicates is that he has nothing to do with cooking. Fine. On the other hand, she is there to cook. Now look at the direction of the eyes. Danish target chate the.
कैमरामैन था
No, towards the cooking oil. Fine. Uh, she is looking at the cooking oil and it indicates that these things are the primary concern of this human being because she is there to cook. Fine, that is her job. Now this advertisement actually defines the roles and status of these two human beings. Fine, now that is her status, her social role. Find the social role, the social status which we associate with this gender in society. Now look at the direction of the eyes towards this side. This indicates that these individuals are here to work for these people. Fine, to entertain these people. Fine. Now look at the plate. It is in the hands of the lady. It means that she is there to cook, she is there to serve the food. Fine, and she is there to perform the role of a cook and a waiter, just as a person does in a hotel. Fine. Now look at this gentleman, he is just having the food in his hand and he is enjoying it. Clear? So I think a little bit idea must be there in your mind right now that how are these gender ideologies portrayed, fine, manifested in with the help of this kind of multimodal discourses. Multimodal means which takes into consideration these linguistic features and semiotic features as well. Moving to the second, there might be some other features as well, but these things need a closer look in order to highlight
सर
those
ये
points as well. जी 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 नवाज
जितने पॉइंट्स हमने इसमें निकाले हैं सर इतने तो इन्होंने भी नहीं सोचे होंगे इसमें होंगे
बिलीव यू मी, ये सब सोच के ही किया जाता है अमाद, बिलीव यू मी.
सर आपने इस पे कितना टाइम लगाया था रात को?
It took
सर
me.
अगर ये रिकॉर्डिंग कश्मीर गोल्ड वाले देख लें तो कहेंगे इतना हमने भी नहीं सोचा होगा.
Now look at this one. This one is rather more interesting. Actually, when I look at this picture, what comes to my mind is a scene of some hotel. Find some restaurant. Again, look at the dress, white color, because it has nothing to do with the kitchen. Look at the dress, pure yellow. Fine. Now someone may object that बच्चे ने क्यों yellow color पहना है, because the child may also go into the kitchen. Fine, and the dress may get dirty. Fine. Now look at this gentleman. He is smiling and he is enjoying a conversation with his child. Fine, and he is enjoying the food. Clear? Now look at his sleeve. He has folded his sleeves. ऐसा ना हो कि कहीं गंदे हो जाए. ठीक है? Now look at this gentleman. The elderly gentleman, again, he is also enjoying the conversation in the food. And look at the role of the cook and the role of the waiter as well. Okay, we holding some food, some dish, some plate, okay, some pot in the hand, and this human being is there to entertain these people. Fine, and this, like, obviously this human being must have cooked the food over there in the kitchen, and this human being has brought the food here. Fine. So you can simply analyze the role of this human being in the family, because we have a picture of the entire family. Clear? So this is what this is how the gender ideologies are portrayed, they are manifested, and they are inculcated in the minds of the viewers. Clear? जो जी हम ये जो टीवी वगैरह देखते हैं ना, the things which we see on the TV, believe me, these things are, they are not random. Okay, they are properly selected. Fine. These are some examples of proverbs from the Pashto language, and I took these proverbs from the research paper, The Linguistic Representation of Gender Identities in Pashto Proverbs. This is a research paper written by Dr. Kesar Khan, one of my great teachers, HUD, Department of English, University of Malakand. I took these examples from his research paper and shared the research paper with you. Fine. He has written another research paper which is based on the linguistic representation of gender identities in Pashto Tapa. Fine, Tapa, you must be aware of the Tapa genre. Fine, kind of poetry, Pashto poetry. Now look at these three examples. A brave son. Look at the adjective. A brave son is known by the way he weaves in the cradle. The Narzwan Pata Pama Zangu Pilegi. Fine. Now, why a brave son? Why not a brave child? Okay, why not a brave daughter? This is how we associate right from their very birth and right from their very first day in the cradle and from the very first experience of their weeping. Fine, we give them the role of bravery. Fine, this is their role, this is their status, they are to be dominant in society. Fine. So here from the very first experience of their weeping, we determine and we decide their social role in their social status. Fine. For a woman, either the home or the grave. The khazita para ya kurde or ya gurde. Fine. For Shahid Mahmood, औरत के लिए या घर है और या फिर कब्र. Fine. So this is how like we inculcate ideologies in the minds of individual from their very birth. Fine. In the last one, had women no noses, they would have fed on filth. And I hope, I assume that you must be aware of the Pashto version of this proverb. Fine. Now, so this is how simply uh, ideologies are inculcated in the minds of individual. So when we analyze the sort of things like these advertisements, for example, or we analyze this kind of particular genre in a discourse, okay, we may come to know that what sort of ideologies are there, what sort of power relations are there, and how are those power relations and those social inequalities enacted, how are they practiced, how are they produced, how are they reproduced, how are they resisted with the help of text and talk, with the help of discourse produced in a proper situational and political and social context. I'm done with the lecture, and if you have got any question, you may kindly ask. Yes, Danish and Shahid.
Sir, no question.
No question at all, and that is why you raised your hand. Okay, good. Shahid.
No, no, sir.
Okay.
Sir, the last one, the last proverb, had
Mhm.
women no noses, they would have fed on the filth.
Mhm.
So what does it mean in Pashto?
I'll share the Pashto proverb with you later on. Fine. Keeping in view the ethical considerations.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Ji, fine. Shahid Mahmood. Shahid Mahmood, do you have any question? Saeed Ahmad.
सर
Yes, Shahid.
सर मैं कह रहा हूँ ये सारी सोशल इनइक्वालिटीज आपको फीमेल जेंडर के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से नजर आ रही हैं. जब मेल दो बच्चे उठा के तो उसका बैग पकड़ के चल रहा होता है, उस वक्त ये क्रिटिकल डिस्कोर्स एनालिसिस वाले क्यों कर रहते हैं? जब वो सब्जी लेने के लिए मारा मारा फिर रहा होता है दुकानों पे उस वक्त ये क्रिटिकल डिस्कोर्स एनालिसिस वाले किधर होते हैं? तो सारे पर्सपेक्टिव औरत के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से सारे डाले जा रहे हैं, मर्द बेचारे सारे उम्र दलील होते हैं, उनका कोई पुरसाने हाल कोई नहीं है.
Shahid, I see eye to eye with you. We are actually on the same page. Let me share my own experience with you. Once when I was in Namal Islamabad, I was doing MPhil, so I went to the bank, which is inside the building of Namal. Fine. I went over there and I saw that there was uh, actually a long line of male students. Fine, we all were there to submit our fee. So one of the female students entered the bank, and one of the person, the official person over there, like some, I don't know who, what was the role and status of that person in the bank. Fine, but he was some official. He said, "जी मैडम को रास्ता दे." तो हमने रास्ता दिया, and she was done with the submission of her fee. Now, then, after 2 or 3 weeks, I happened to the same bank again, and there was a long list of ladies. Fine, only I was the only male students over there. I went into the bank, and I was expecting to hear someone speaking, "Ji sir ko rasta de." But believe you me, none of them said that thing, and I kept on waiting there for almost 25 or 30 minutes. Okay, when
So this
they
is
were
not the social inequalities.
yeah, this is social inequality. You may say I'm a sort of meninist. Danish and Ahmad know about my
No,
status
no,
in which
sir.
I
I'm
upload
I'm
website. Fine,
I'm
but
not a complete feminist.
oh, okay, fine. But actually, I wanted to clarify these things. That is why I had to give you examples. Clear things must be exemplified in order to be made understood in a better way.
Right, sir.
Ji, any other question?
No, sir. Kindly send the slides
Sure.
in WhatsApp group.
Fine, I'll share the slides with you as well as the video recordings. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Right, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome, Mr. or Mrs. Oppo, Yasir Khan, Zubair, Atia Khan. If you have any question, you may kindly ask.
No, sir, everything is clear with examples.
Okay, good, Yasir. Chale, fine. Stay home and stay safe. Allah Hafiz.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.